Hey, good afternoon, David.
Good afternoon, Mike. Just to start, did you watch the Rams-Niners game with some of your staff last night, and just your initial impressions on the 49ers and the challenge they present?
Yeah, definitely. I had a chance to be a fan yesterday. I personally watched the games here at work, and then went home and just watched the end of the fourth quarter of the Rams game, and Rams and 49ers, and then we actually had WebEx meetings as offensive and defensive staff last night once we found out who we were playing, and then we were trying to get Rich to tell us when we were playing, but he couldn't come through, so we had to sit and watch the Raiders game and the Chargers game to figure that out. So it was a fun day.
You talk about the challenge of the 49ers rushing offense and run game and just the physicality they play with.
Yeah, excellent football team. Obviously, have played extremely well over the last, I want to say 9 weeks, but had a chance to play them last year. I think obviously both teams were different last year, just based on what teams were, what we were going through and what they were going through at the time. So, we just because of the, thinking who we're going to play and the odds and so forth. We've been, really tied up all day today watching the game tape. We had the players in this morning for strength and conditioning, and then we had an hour meeting with the players, as far as with their position coaches, and then had a virtual team meeting. So, but I've been real impressed with them on film and enjoying the opportunity to get game plan against these guys.
So when y'all did your pre-prep last week, it wasn't as much on San Francisco as it was on other teams?
No, we were pre-prepped on everybody. So we're on a normal 7-day week, and we're doing what we normally do on Monday nights.
There are always coaching connections across the league, but with Dan being on your staff going against Kyle Shanahan, what kind of advantage, if any, does that provide, and what's his input been like in those conversations of understanding what Kyle believes in?
Well, I think like a lot of things, when you have familiarity, I think it goes both ways. You have an understanding of how an individual may put together a game plan, what he's looking for, what his structure is, but every season's different. Your players are different every year. The concepts that you believe in as primary concepts, and are you still adherent to those, or are you doing more of the secondary and variations of the base concepts? So, that's why we spend the time that we do in the game plan process. Background work is always important. That's why I think our coaching staff, particularly our younger coaches, do a phenomenal job staying a week ahead. Ben McAdoo's done an excellent job, with the forecasting of who we may play. So, but yeah, I think Dan and Kyle's familiarity will, be something that they'll both, from both sides will be looking at, and that's, that's part of the excitement to get out there and compete on Sunday in a playoff game.
How is Keanu doing health-wise, and do you have any other injuries or updates since the game?
Keanu's, was looked at yesterday, so I anticipate he'll do some work Wednesday. Is the early outlook. So, but we feel like we're in very good shape, from a health standpoint.
Mike, has anybody come off the COVID list today for you guys, or gone on the list maybe too?
Todd, well, first of all, sorry for your loss. I haven't seen you. But I would say COVID list, between today and tomorrow, we will start to bring a number of our guys off. So I think the goal is to have everybody back by Thursday. I think we have J-Ron is probably the only one that may be a little longer. So exactly who's coming off today and who's tomorrow, I don't have it here in front of me, but I know definitely by Wednesday morning when we get together, we should be in really good shape.
We've asked you every week about Micah and the seasons that he had. Now that the regular season's over, can you kind of encapsulate what he's been able to do for you this year as a rookie?
Well, I think he clearly is in a category of an impact player. I think if you're competing against him, you definitely know where he is. Is he playing the open end, or is he traveling? So what side is he on? His ability to play off the ball at the linebacker position, his ability to pressure. And so I think we've clearly have established, his flexibility. So the offense would have to target him, and I think with that, his production, he clearly, makes players better, better around him. So he definitely has been a huge impact for us.
Back to the COVID real quick. How concerned are you about conditioning with some of these guys when they do return either Wednesday or Thursday?
Definitely. I'm not going to get into the who's and how much, but yeah, definitely. I mean, that's part of the work today. So everybody that was able to work today, and clearly, it's something that Dan and I talked about last night. When you start building these defensive personnel groups and how you can utilize guys, we have a projected play time each and every week. We met on that this morning as a whole staff in our staff meeting at 8:00. So yeah, that's all part of the planning, and definitely we've had a number of guys come off of it just here in the last couple of weeks. So we have some experience, and it's definitely something you have to pay close attention to.
We always talk about December football and playoff football. How valuable is a running game to you at this time of year?
Well, I think the run game is always important. I think both teams that will both teams competing Sunday afternoon at AT&T will exemplify that. And it's obviously something that they believe in. It's something that we believe in, and I think it'll be a big part of the game planning process. And and it's definitely important this time of year.
Tony Pollard not playing on Saturday night, was that just being smart with him given the foot, or was there any setback at all coming out of the Arizona game?
No, it's definitely what you said. It's we're just being smart with him. So I anticipate Tony will be practice Wednesday, full go.
The Niners are a little unique in terms of their 21 personnel usage. What challenges do they present with all the different things that they do with the fullback?
Well, I just think like anything, their 21 personnel package, the ability to be a two-back offense, obviously with all their lead schemes and, particularly how they can affect the edge. They really do a great job of game planning and affect your contain element, your C-gap. Emphasis is always really big when you play these guys, but also not only 21 the two-back schemes, but they can get into all the one-back concepts and all the one-back formations, and also do a lot of empty too. So I think the ability, like most teams playing 11 personnel, that can run their whole offense out of it. San Francisco does an excellent job of doing the same thing out of 21. They can play one-back, two-back, or no back. So they have great flexibility.
I think we'd all agree that experience for players is a big thing in the postseason. How much of a difference do you think experience as a coach makes in the postseason?
Well, I think any experience for anybody on your football team is important. I think, but most importantly, I think it's just the definition of knowledge. You gain knowledge from your own experiences, but you also can gain knowledge from the experience of others. So I think particularly in group dynamics, group settings, team sports, it's all part of your preparation. I think it helps in the game. If you've been there, you see things, recognize it. There's definitely an emotional and a mental challenge that is a huge part of playoff success. Obviously, physically, every team that's in this tournament is gifted. So this will really come down to the focus on the matchups and how they're utilized, and at the end of the day, it's going to be the execution in the areas of fundamentals too. So yeah, but I think experience definitely pays forward in these type of games.
You had the 8 straight years in the postseason in Green Bay. Now it's been 5 years since you've been. Did you ever doubt that you'd get back here?
It's been 5 years. Is that right? Wow. No, I never had any doubts. I feel like this is where I belong. I know this is where we belong. We've earned this opportunity. I love the way our team has traveled through the season. I think what we've encountered through the season definitely has prepared us, for this opportunity. We've been able to go through the ups and downs and the adverse moments, changing personnel. We've played a lot of people, played a lot of young players early, particularly on defense. We've had a lot of production. I went through all the different moments of production today, that represented our regular season. Just all the good things that have happened. So we have an excellent foundation to take into this playoff.
Mike, in talking to the team after the game, you said it's going to get real and we're ready. I was wondering, when did you know that this team is ready for the playoffs? Was there a moment that happened? And basically, how do you know if a team is ready or not?
Well, excellent question. I think, are you ready is a pretty broad term, but I think you build to that moment. I think it's like anything. I actually, through experience, when you do go through tough moments and sometimes they don't work out, but it is in the regular season, you still have an opportunity to overcome that. But most importantly, you have to learn from it. So I think the fact of what we've been through, there's I'm trying to give you that moment for your story, but I just don't think it's that way. I think it's the combination of a number of moments. But definitely, you could see early in the spring, everybody wants to talk about talent, but it's the connection of the talent and how these guys are able to work together. I think this, if you look at the number of new people on defense, the unselfishness on our defense throughout the year, the ability to play so many players early, throughout the year, I thought was such a huge benefit. So, yeah, I just think all those things, combining, and I'll say this: we always believed we'd be here. I mean, there was never no doubt that we weren't going to be in the playoffs. But, most important thing was we wanted to make sure we were building it the right way to be playoff ready. And this is going to be a huge contest, and it's going to be we got an outstanding opponent coming in here in the San Francisco 49ers.
Mike, just based on what you talked about here, you expected to be here. The Cowboys have not won 2 playoff games or more in a single postseason since that run to Super Bowl 30. How can you get a deep run with this team? How do you utilize the expertise you have as having won a Super Bowl to get these guys deep?
I'll be honest with you, we're just in the moment, and not to be cliche here. We're really just focusing on, maximizing each day. We want to make sure we enjoy the preparation. This is a hard-working team. This is a team that loves the weight room. And there's a lot of excellent qualities about our football team. So, and I think with that, it's your question's a great question, but it's totally against the focus that is where we are. We're focused on every day this week just to make sure that we go out there and play the best that we can, Sunday afternoon. And that's, at the end of the day, that's all I'm focused on. Because if you get into more than that, then you're really taking away, energy, focus, and taking away what you need to do in these playoff games. These games are obviously super competitive. We watch them every year. I mean, there's a high potential that these games can come down to, a couple plays at the end, or there'll be big plays at key times that you have to be in position to make. So, and that's what we're really preparing for.
Mike, what do you want to see from the crowd Sunday?
What do I want to see from the crowd? Our crowds have been great. Just the energy, and I know that'll be there. Love the white towels. I mean, that's always a good thing. But just don't want to see a lot of the other team. It's the other fans would be a preference. But AT&T's been rocking, and frankly, we have a big responsibility in that ourselves. So we need to get out there and get going fast and get the crowd into the game. This is going to be a great afternoon.
Go ahead, Jane.
Coach, you talked about how competitive these playoffs can be and how they essentially come down, to just a few plays. I know you guys have remained confident in your kicker, but how much of an emphasis on that this week, making sure his mind is right and getting those extra reps in that he said he needed ahead of this game on Saturday or Sunday?
Greg's a pro in every from every angle. He was in here today. He has a very diligent work schedules that he follows, and it's if anything, you have to watch that he does too much. Would be the tendency. So, I have great confidence in him, and so he'll be ready to go Sunday.
Mike, the play style you established this year and the principles that you want this team to use day in and day out, were you able to, is this what you hoped to install last season, but because of being truncated because of COVID, you just weren't able to get in place? Is this more what you'd hoped to do in your first season in some ways?
I mean, definitely. I mean, the consistency of it. I mean, we saw pieces of it last year. I thought in some ways we finished strong at the end of the year. There was definitely things at the end of the year I felt like we were able to really emphasize and carry over. I just look at the takeaway, the turnover differential. At the end of the year, that's. We were able to carry that forward as far as the tread line of how we've been performing there. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, but it's like anything. You have the 17 games to watch your trends and your peaks and valleys and more importantly learn from them. And not only the things that don't go well, but frankly, you have to learn from the successes. Success is the hardest to handle, and really, I think the thing that we're really focused on. It's just to be ourselves come Sunday. We don't need new behavior, new ideas or new things, a bunch of new things this week. So, and I think we're playing an opponent that views the game very similar. So this is we're going to go out and be take our experiences and everything that we've been able to create and develop over these 17 games and put our best foot forward come Sunday.
They use a lot of non-running backs as far as their running game. Is there a different way to prepare for a receiver at running back, or is it the same? How does that challenge you defensively?
Well, I mean, it's just like anything. It's not only the position they play, but the skill set and what do they do from that position. There's route trees, there's run concept, trends that you follow. So yeah, I mean, it's a big part of recognizing, not only where a player is located, but who he is. I mean, that's a big part of why we practice as much as we do, and that's why we talk about winning the pre-snap. Winning the pre-snap is making sure you're being proactive with your adjustments. As far as recognizing and making sure we're in clean defenses to make sure we can stay out of potential bad matchups and stress points that on a particular coverage or a stress point on a particular pressure that we're coming after them with. So yeah, I mean, you definitely have to be in tune with that, and and these guys will hit you with a lot of different formations, and they do a great job not only with formation utilization, but what comes off of it. So they do a good job of setting up their action passing game off of a very similar look in the run game. So that's all part of the game planning.
Mike, if you got a lot of really young players, a lot of rookies, especially on your defense, if one of those kids comes to you and says, "Coach, how is this going to be different than the regular season? What should I expect?" What do you tell them?
Well, I just think the intensity is it's the best moments you have during a regular season. It's 4 quarters of that would be my answer to the question. I just think the biggest thing is, the mental and the emotional focus is the biggest challenge of playoff games, because it's every team it's in the playoffs is obviously worked tremendously hard and had to perform at a high level to get here. This is a very difficult position to attain any year. So obviously the urgency that goes with this will definitely be a big part of the game come Sunday.
Hey, Mike, I was just wondering, I know it was only a year. Just curious, your impressions or your memories or what you got out of your time coaching for the 49ers.
Obviously an outstanding organization, tremendous history there. I've always been a fan of the 49ers, particularly, my days at the University of Pittsburgh and Kansas City, because we always studied the other West Coast offense teams, and that was definitely the Mecca. So, going back to, Coach Walsh and, Joe Montana and all the great teams, but it was always a big fan of the offense, and I've always, have spent a lot of time in my younger years breaking down, the tape when you just couldn't. in the 90s, you just couldn't go on the internet and get all the cut-ups. You actually had to go, work and break it up and cut it down yourself. So, but yeah, it was York family have, nothing but great respect for them. They treated me and my family very well, and I had a really good experience there.
Coach, I'm just curious, when Dak Prescott talked about what this meant for him coming off of last season, you had that year to go back to the drawing board, and then a tricky first season with just a number of events working against you guys last year. And now you're a 12-win team heading into the playoffs, having swept the NFC East. What does this mean for you personally? Have you taken a moment to sort of reflect on the turnaround and what it took to get from where you were to now?
I have not. I have not reflected. Frankly, I think it's just, it's a product of, winning in Philadelphia. You get back at 4 a.m, and, when we were all in here yesterday just trying to, clean some things up and make sure we were ready to go, last night. So, but yeah, I think it's important to enjoy the, the moments along the way. But, this is, we started back in April 19th, we talked about 300 days. It's 300 days until this thing ends in LA. So this is tournament time, and and these games are for real now. So you have to win to advance, and that's really where my focus is, and I think it's clearly where our team's focus is right now.
When you first said that to the team in April, was that on a Zoom call? Was that in the building? Can you kind of take us through that meeting?
Yeah, we were virtual then. Yeah, absolutely. It was down at the it was a virtual meeting. So.
And with Trayvon being out with illness, some guys have been out with illness and then on the COVID list. Is there any concerns of that, or has he kind of made it through a window that you would have to be concerned?
The report today is we feel like we're in really good shape. So some of the guys will either come off the COVID list today. The majority of them will be off by tomorrow. So everybody was in the weight room today. Everybody was in their meetings with their coaches today. So we're in really good shape.
Mike, given you just talked about working in San Francisco for a year, what do you know about this rivalry between these two teams in the playoffs specifically? Going the 90s, even back to Staubach's time too.
Yeah, great games. I think my first recollection of the 49ers and the Cowboys was probably the catch, to Dwight Clark, sprint right option, and just knowing the offense, and that was always the teaching tape moment, as far as how the backline throw is executed on the back pylon. So yeah, just obviously, great tradition, great games, but more importantly, these games always mean something, and that's no different this year. So you're always playing for more, and I'm just, it's a privilege to be part of this tradition.
And then with a lot of openings you're going to see here, not just coaching-wise, GM-wise. Will McClay, what have you learned about Will in the 2 years you've been around him that obviously you don't want to lose him, but he's a guy that will be attractive to other teams?
Excellent personnel man, and an even better person. I really enjoy working with Will. I can't say enough about him. He's very astute at his approach, and how the inner workings of the personnel department and the collaboration between Will, Steven, and Jerry. So we spend a tremendous amount of time together, and I enjoy working with him. So he's obviously someone that I know as an organization we would not want to lose, but he's definitely worthy of any opportunity that pursues him. So, but Will does a tremendous job.
Mike, a lot of your players, obviously with COVID, the numbers are rising. Do you think any of your players will check into the hotel near the facility now that you're in the tournament?
Yeah, definitely. It's it's an option. We addressed it again in a team meeting. Just all the recommendations and resources that are out there. So, obviously the commitment that we have to one another. Public spaces, basketball games, all those things. So we hit that again today in a team meeting, and hey, like I said, this group is a group of excellent work ethic and detail. I mean, it's, you know, I get to see them every day. But, you know, I think like anything, you know, we have the family and friends program too. I could just tell you from the statistics, you know, mostly everybody's using that option to keep their home space as safe as possible. So they're doing the right things.
Randy Gregory didn't seem physically right from really the first snap, and he didn't play at all in the second half. Where is he physically going into the playoffs?
Oh, Randy's in good shape. You know, he was in here yesterday. You know, I think that, you know, him and D-Law, you know, played about the numbers that I was looking for them to play. But, yeah, I think Randy come Wednesday, he'll be ready to go. So I have no doubts about his availability.
You went on a lot of these playoff journeys with Aaron, Mike. How much are you looking forward to the first one with Dak?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I'm looking forward to. I'm happy for, you know, our whole football team, but, you know, I'm excited for Dak. I mean, this is you can't deny what, you know, where he was, you know, last year and coming back the way he has, and, you know, he's a true leader of our football team. And but, you know, same breath, you know, want him to go out there and I know he will compete and have fun, and you know, everything will be attainable. We just got to, you know, play to our strengths and stay true to that. And he's obviously a huge part of it.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, is that it? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coach.
Thank you.